Hey guys. Yeah, I want to get to the point here. I got about maybe 13 minutes to go before I have to clock into work from lunch. But I wanted to talk about basically something that I mentioned to Delexman just briefly in a $2 super chat. You see what I mentioned to Alex in one of his live streams this past week was something along the lines of how Vince may have never wanted the women to main event WrestleMania. Now you might say, well, why would you bring this up? I mean, they had this plan since last year. True, they did have it planned since last year, but I don't think necessarily it was going to be main eventing in the way it is right now. You see, I think honestly, the reason we've had this storyline be as convoluted as it's been, why we've had the McMahons, get involved, why we've had Becky go from being suspended to being unsuspended, to being suspended again, to not being suspended, to giving a women's championship match against Charlotte at Fastlane, only for Ronda to come back and have the championship just given back to her because she technically didn't vacate it. All she was doing was telling Stephanie, do the right thing and put the right person in the match, kind of deal, And, stuff like that. And the only thing I can think of as to why all this happened, why this was all convoluted and not, as a lot of people put it, kept simple. Because the one terminology a lot of people use when it comes to talking about the storyline and the build to the triple threat match at Mania is all WWE had to do was keep it simple. K.I.S.S. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, if you will. All they had to do was just do simple things to help build to it. One of the things a lot of people brought up was having Charlotte come out on SmackDown the night after Raw, after Becky makes her intentions of, clear that, hey, I want to face Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. That basically makes her intentions clear that she's going to face Ronda at WrestleMania because that's what they've been building towards. All they had to do was to keep it really simple, was have Charlotte come out and state that Becky, the next night on SmackDown, and state that Becky was not technically ever in the Rumble match, that she was not legally a participant. Lana was. And as overanalyzing as it could be, and yes, sometimes depending on the promo and who's part of that promo, sometimes overanalyzing as a part of the storyline, as a part of that promo to try to get the point across. You could have had Charlotte bring up the fact that because Lana was injured, she had to forfeit her spot. Thus, the Rumble match by doing so, the Rumble match had been completed. Every participant had gotten involved, and unfortunately Lana had to forfeit her opportunity. But still, by doing so, she technically was part of the Rumble, part of a match that she was legally supposed to be part of in the first place. Now, on top of that, you could have Charlotte bring that up, and you could have her bring up the fact that because, yes, unfortunately Lana couldn't compete and she had to forfeit her spot, that in the end, she is technically the real winner of the Rumble match. And you go from there, you build from there. You want to have a match between them at Elimination Chamber or Fastlane to determine who the real winner of the Rumble match is, and that winner goes on to face Becky, fine. I mean, not Becky, but Ronda, fine. It's as simple as that. Or you could have had the McMahons agree with Charlotte and say, yes, you do have a valid point, but Becky was allowed by one of our officials. You don't have to say it was Finley. Could it be too convoluted if they did? You could just say one of our officials who we given the power to throughout the night, said gave her the go ahead to go. And everything. They could even mention that maybe Lana said, yes, let her participate, let her take my spot, and go from there. And that's how you get the triple threat. You basically have the McMahons, if you want to get them involved, even just once or twice, just have them come out, acknowledge, the argument that they got from Charlotte about, Becky not legally being in the match, and then mention it to Becky, but also mention on Raw, because you could have it continue on Raw, you can have them mention that one of the officials who had the power, who they'd given power to, basically gave the go-ahead to not Becky to go and take Lana's spot, and Lana basically gave the okay to do it, even if it was reluctant. And long story short, you could have just had them on the second Raw after the Rumble say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to declare you both co-winners of the Rumble, and both of you are going to face Ronda at WrestleMania. End of discussion. That's all they had to do. That's all they would have to do, is do something like that. Now, I know I'm about 6 minutes in talking about it, so I do apologize. But that's all they really had to do. But they didn't do that. Instead, they decided to go this convoluted route of, basically focusing on Becky being injured, her having to do this and that to try to stay in the match, do this and that, go through all these obstacles and hoops that a lot of fans, and even I will agree, she did not have to go through, that WWE did not have to put her through, and all this and that. But the question is, why? Why did they do all this? Why did they make it so convoluted, even to the point that Fastlane, she was going to face Charlotte in a match for the Raw Women's Championship, because they made it look like Ronda vacated the title because she wasn't going to get to face Becky. But no, all Ronda was doing was laying the belt down, saying, cross the line. By laying the belt down, was drawing a line in the sand saying, cross it. Do the right thing. Cross this and do the right thing. And that's why she got her belt back. That's why she got her belt back, because basically all she was doing was challenging the McMahons to do the right thing. And again, we didn't really need to go through all this. But the real reason, in my opinion, that we went through all this was because of the fact that the McMahons, mostly Vince McMahon, never wanted the women to main event. And that's the truth. He never had any faith in these women main eventing. The only reason they're main eventing is because it's Ronda Rousey in there. And everybody, from fans, insiders, to news media, sports media, have all been hearing for the past year that this year's WrestleMania, that this year's main event at WrestleMania, the match that closes out the show, headlines and closes out the show, is going to involve Ronda Rousey. That's the only reason Vince decided to okay it, decided to let the women close out the show. Other words, if that wasn't the case, these women wouldn't be doing it. If it wasn't for all the media attention this main event's been getting, or this match has been getting, these women never would have been given the opportunity to close out the show. And when you think about the fact that because of how convoluted this storyline became, and how much of a downgrade, as people put it, that they gave Becky and her character throughout this, it's like you wouldn't blame WWE for deciding, nah, we'll make it the third to last match on the card and that's it. You wouldn't be blaming WWE for doing that. You wouldn't. But yet these women are still going to get exactly what was promised, what people have been hearing WWE was planning to do for about a year. But to me, when I look at how convoluted this storyline got, how messed up this storyline got, the only thing I can think of is the reason for it is because Vince McMahon never wanted these women main eventing. He never wanted it. If he had his way, Brock Lesnar would be closing out the show against Seth Rollins. Not Kofi Kingston or Daniel Bryan, which is another eligible match to do so, but more so Brock Lesnar. If it wasn't for the media attention that Ronda was bringing to the event, along with the coverage that Becky's been getting for the company, Vince wouldn't have considered it. And that's why I think we had such a convoluted storyline, even though all they had to do was, as people put it, keep it stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. K.I.S.S. All they had to do was keep it simple, stupid, kiss, if you will, and just go from there. But no, the reason it was convoluted, in my opinion, is because this was Vince's way of saying, look, these women I may have to let these women close out WrestleMania, but guess what? But guess what? I'm going to screw up this storyline as much as I can, because if I can't have what I want for the main event, and I got to let these women close out the show, then I'm going to make this storyline as convoluted as possible. And if you don't believe me, how about this? There's a report going around that if you look at the WWE pay-per-view calendar for this year, there's not one mention of another Women's Evolution pay-per-view. Not one. And there's word going on around that WWE is not considering doing it because Ronda's not involved. So does that tell you exactly how much faith Vince has in these women? And if that's not a clue as to why this storyline got so convoluted in the first place, instead of being kept simple, then I don't know what else to tell you guys. I don't know what else to tell you. But I will say this. I know I'm not the only one that's thinking about this. Thinking as to why they made this storyline so convoluted. Why they couldn't have kept it simple. Well, when you read about the fact that WWE is not considering another Women's Evolution pay-per-view because there's no Ronda, but yet they have Becky and Charlotte, there's your answer. There's your answer, guys. And with Charlotte winning her 8th main roster title, her 9th overall, over Asuka, and the rumors of a unification, or basically, one championship changing hands, or whatever, again, there's your answer. They know they screwed up the pay-per-view, the match, so they're doing what they can to salvage it. There's your answer. So that's all I'm going to really say, guys, on it. Let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like. And I will talk to y'all later. I got to get back into work. But that's about it. Peace out. God bless.